TG Geeks, episode 64, March 21st, 2016. Let me just say that staying up till 3 a.m. ain't what it used to be. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from... At 54, I can still dance a time warp. Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, we'll talk about that later. Right now, we're going to do an interview with an up-and-coming young filmmaker. And this week, we have joining us Zach Noe Towers, the director/filmmaker of the new comedy short Killer Friends. Welcome, Zach.
Hello.
I like that we refer to him as, use the slash term in there, considering this is a horror short.
Yes.
It is. I know. I love it. Slash.
I didn't think about that.
No, it just hit me as you said that, and I thought, oh, that's something kind of appropriate about that.
So, this short is just a scream. We watched it, and we'll have a review that will go out in companion to this interview episode that we're going to do with you. So you'll get to see our review of it, but I will just say that we did like it.
We liked it
a lot.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a scream. So why don't you tell us about who you are and how you got into filmmaking, and a little bit about Killer Friends, and then maybe we'll interrupt you a little bit on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a comedian by trade. That's what I do most often. And I also act. And I just kept seeing that I was going out for just these stereotypical, gay roles like hairstylist or best friend, or the common things that the media portrays gay men as.
Oh, it sounds like a scene out of the movie Jeffrey. I'll have you go out for the gay neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I basically I wouldn't always book those parts, which is just another kick in the balls. So I kind of sat down and Killer Friends came out. It's my sense of humor, and it showcases, a lead that happens to be gay, but his sexuality really has nothing to do with it. Right. So that was kind of my mission.
Well, it really is fascinating, the things that you come up with in that little short, and all of the stuff that's in it. It's just like, it's so stereotypical, but it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just,
yeah, definitely. Keith, yeah.
Yeah, he has no filter. Zero.
No. And he doesn't think he's a bad guy.
Exactly.
But
and clueless. No filter and clueless.
Yeah, he's clueless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly, I've actually known people like that. So I'm kind of wondering, when you created that character, was it all just based on certain stereotypes, or is there secretly somebody that you kind of model that person after?
What's funny is, I think we've all encountered this character before, where they say something and your jaw drops, maybe not outwardly, but you can't imagine why they thought that was okay to say. And they're just going on with their life. So I think I've just encountered enough of these people that I think it's almost funny that they exist. Like, this is crazy that people live without a filter, to this extent. So yeah, I guess I've seen it enough to know that people could relate to encountering this type of person.
Right. And then I think the other interesting piece in your short was all of the crazy stuff that happens, all of the weird things that with the no filter and the clueless, and then all of the what should I say, the mishaps of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. I thought it was hysterical. So
thanks. I kind of modeled it after like a Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner thing, where it's cartoonish. You know, you can definitely see like the cartoon aspects of the short.
Yes.
But like trying to hurt this thing and then hurting yourself
exactly.
on accident.
Yeah.
So
was I hadn't thought of that. It is the Wile E. Coyote theme, shall we say?
Yeah, all the people needed were Acme products, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
It's the Acme bug spray.
Yeah, and the Acme explosives, yeah.
Yeah, Acme bug spray. I hadn't thought of that one. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Anyway, we're just a little punchy today.
Yeah, really. So the main genesis of the story, where did that kind of come from?
I mean, I've always had a dark sense of humor. And I know I've seen movies like this. I feel like is the movie What About Bob about, there's different movies where like, people are trying to kill someone. And I guess that's just in the back of my mind. I think
should we be seeking out psychological help?
No. I guess I think it's just making death very like lighthearted and funny is just my take on it.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess, and I can see bits of myself in the character. Like, I'm obnoxious, and I know a lot of my friends love me despite me being obnoxious. So I just think it's funny, the idea of, like, my friends plotting to kill me. Yeah, I don't know, nothing serious. This isn't, like, life-altering content. I think I just wanted to make something entertaining.
Yeah, well, it is definitely entertaining. And you've won several awards, is that correct? Or with this short?
It's gotten into several pretty, like, I don't want to use the word legit. It's made it into bigger festivals. So I wanted to target like non-LGBT festivals first,
right,
just to see if it could hold its own amidst, the majority of filmmakers, which happen to be heterosexuals.
Right.
So it's gotten into a few international festivals, and other festivals have, since those programming lists have been announced, have sought me out requesting to view it. So it's kind of snowballing. The word is getting out, I think, that it's a quality short, and
absolutely,
it's screening.
How long ago did you make it?
We filmed in January of 2015.
Oh, wow.
It was probably done editing, and like the music is all like that. It's an original score. The music guy was just incredible. So it took a while in post, but I'd say it screened at St. Louis International in November of 2015.
Oh, wow. And was that the first screening then?
Yeah, that was like I guess that was the world premiere at St. Louis, which is nice because it's also my hometown.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was a great like coming home.
Well, that's neat.
To, do that.
So, what made you, other than needing to do this and the other characters that you're trying out for, all being the stereotypes, what made you decide to make a film besides those? Was there any other driving force that you wanted to be more creative in another aspect or something?
I am sincerely, I've always had it in my mind that creating your own content is the way to go. But I am now just 220% in favor of spending my energy creating my own content and selling my brand of entertainment. I'm so tired of wasting a day for an audition, a day for a callback, a day for a fitting, and then an hour on set doing an anticlimactic role. That's a week of my life, and I'm so much more proud of Killer Friends than I've ever been of anything else I've done, I think. Yeah, so it's kind of like a drug now where a world has opened, and I want to go down this road now of just start to finish Zach Noe Towers entertainment.
That's interesting because we've met a number of filmmakers that have decided to do their own content because they were tired of wasting a week and getting paid for an hour. And
yeah,
when they start making their own films, it's like it's this thing that grabs you and makes you say, I want to do more.
Well, especially
if you're in control.
Yeah,
so,
if you're in control, and especially if you have a chance to share it with other people through film festivals, and you get positive acknowledgement. I mean, that's got to be like, that's got to be like a drug almost.
Oh, it's ridiculously. I'm getting goosebumps right now, kind of even talking about it. But yeah, I mean, and I've always wanted. I'm a people pleaser, sort of, and I like to host things, and I like to make sure people are comfortable. That's in me. So if I can make people laugh and like entertain people of mass audiences, I'm the king of the world. Like it's the bee's knees for me.
Well, that's cool. So tell us a little bit about Zach Noe Towers growing up and what made you get into to be a comedy hero, shall we say, and then also a filmmaker. Anything you want to share that would give us some inclination into who you are?
I've always been. I was a smiley little kid. I was kind of rebellious, but like a straight A student. Yeah, again, like eager to please. I got into musical theater when I was about 10. There's a theater in St. Louis called the Muni. It's like an outdoor theater. It's gorgeous. They put on summer stock. And I started doing that when I was 10 years old, and it just that bug bit me, the entertainment bug. And then I studied musical theater in college at Indiana University, which I loved. And then I guess my dad always took us to movies. And I don't know if that's because he just didn't know what else to do with us or what, but movies were always an escape for me.
Well, that's
so
cool.
Everything kind of came together after college. I didn't want to go to New York. I wanted to go to LA. And I've just always been fascinated by how films kind of immortalize a place in time. Like you can watch a film and know so much about, not only the filmmaker, but about what was going on maybe in the world then.
Exactly.
And I think it's just fascinating that we can call upon, film at any point to feel good or laugh or, scare us or whatever. So I think that's so cool to me. So that kind of brought me to now.
Wow. So that is kind of almost a stereotypical gay man's upbringing, shall we say, in a positive way. It sounds like your dad must have been supportive, and
yeah.
So, and then the movies. That's a great thing. I wish that my family had gone to movies. My parents always sent my sister and I off to the theater to get rid of us, So.
Yeah, but at least you had exposure. I mean, that's the good thing. So what is it that brought you out to California?
I knew that TV and film was out here, and I guess even though musical theater was much more of an option in the Midwest, I think. Like not much shoots, there wasn't any TV and film scene, or there wasn't when I was growing up. So my outlet when I was younger and stuck, for lack of a better word, in the Midwest was training and singing and dancing, but I always knew I wanted to do TV and film. So I as soon as I was done with college, made it out to the West Coast, moved out with my best friend from college. The whole one-way ticket and a duffel bag full of clothing and a few $1,000s, but enough to get me started. And yeah, I guess comedy then became my compromise between a career on stage and a ladder up to the entertainment industry, because doing stand-up is just one of the best ways to get your foot in the door out here in LA.
Oh yeah, but there's a lot of people that have done stand-up and still do stand-up, and it's a great avenue, and it pays the bills too.
It can.
Yeah.
So is Killing Friends?
Killer Friends.
Killer Friends. I'm assuming this is your first film, correct?
It is.
Cool.
Okay, so now I want to know, based on some of the things that you said thus far, I've noticed there's this propensity for horror and comedy. It's really becoming very popular. I mean, when Keith and I were at Horrible Imaginings, we saw there was a lot. Even when they weren't in the comedy block, there were a lot of really lighthearted horror films where they really like to play to laughs. What is it about horror and comedy that you see that make them such a perfect fit for each other?
Man, I mean, I automatically go to one of my favorite movies of all time is Scream. And I don't know if it's because of when I saw it or just because it's a great film, but it's self-aware, and that's what brings out the humor, I think, a lot. And there's something so, like, salty and sweet about comedy amidst horror. Because if it's a good film, you are scared, and then that comedy comes, and it's almost, a million times sweeter because of that scare that just happened. So it's like this a roller coaster. Like, you feel actual joy from laughing, and you feel exhausted from being, frightened. So it's perfect. It's wonderful.
Yeah, some of our favorites were the horror comedy, or the comedy horror, shall we say. There was just too many of them at Horrible Imaginings. Did I send you that
at
link?
Horrible Imaginings, it's a festival?
Yeah,
it's in San Diego.
It's in San Diego, Horrible Imaginings Film Festival. I thought I'd sent you the link to that. Maybe I didn't. I will do that.
Okay.
Because they're open right now for accepting films.
Oh, beautiful.
And I'm not going to spill the beans here, but we just decided that we would sponsor the LGBT block at Horrible Imaginings this year. So
Oh, that's so cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. So do that. Put your film in there at Horrible Imaginings. Hopefully Miguel will decide to have it. We'll put in a plug for you.
Yeah, we'll make sure to mention that. We interviewed him. Maybe that'll carry some weight. Yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah,
who knows?
Never know.
I bet it will.
Any help?
Yeah. So, is the comedy horror right now? Is that something that you're more interested in pursuing at this time?
It's so funny you asked that too. I've written another short. It's 27 pages though, and it's a slasher. It's like a gay Scream almost. It's funny, but there's a lot of kills in it, and I would love to make a name for myself in that market.
Yeah.
But I also worry too that people get pigeonholed, and that's a problem I should not worry about until I encounter. But I know I'm capable of other genres, so now I'm at a crossroads where I don't know if I should continue down the horror comedy path or, try my hand at something else.
Well, I think you have to do what
follow your heart.
Exactly. And Ben is famous for saying that somebody told him that there's, two ways to do something. It's your way and the wrong way.
And the wrong way, yes. You're so right. And so many great friends have said, do the project that excites you the most.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And,
because then whatever motivations that you have, whatever creative energies that you put into that project, they'll come from a good place as opposed to doing something that you really hate or not comfortable with, because at that point it's going to have an effect on the final product, and we don't want nobody wants to see that done.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree, and it feels so good to hear that again, because I just get lost in my own thoughts often. So I'm glad you're here to reinforce that.
Yeah, you can't do what you think is going to please people, because inevitably it's going to not please them. They'll find something to pick it apart.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing it
Sure.
exactly the way they want it done, they will pick it apart just because it's who they are. Mm-hmm. And if you do what you want to do, then you know that you followed your heart, and whether they pick it apart or not, that's their problem.
And if they pick it apart, then it's their problem. I mean, as long as you've got at least one person who positively responds to it, then you chalk it up as a win.
Yeah. Well,
exactly, and
I say that I really loved Killer Friends. It was like it had me laughing from almost the very beginning.
Oh,
I'm so glad. That makes me so happy.
The bug spray gag was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to.
You should have seen it coming,
you know. Too wacky, but it's pretty wacky.
I know I should have seen it coming, but then all of a sudden, when he says it, it's like, oh my God!
You're like, oh shit, yeah.
And he was. We were sitting here. We were eating dinner when we were watching it, and he every single time he looked down whenever the flame, in the background, you could.
Yeah,
see
I kept missing it. I had to keep
You
rewinding it.
have to rewind it.
I
gotta see it.
And then when I finally, it was hilarious.
Because that's the gag.
What's so crazy about that shot is we had lost our first day entirely. That shot with me and Dave in that like greenery area was the first thing we shot. We started shooting at like 10 p.m. And when we needed to do that explosion trick, it was basically a blast of lights that we just like turned on.
Right.
Every time we did it, it blew the generator.
Oh no!
And it was just one of those things where it was in the middle of the woods at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we kept blowing the generator every time we did it. But we finally got that take. So
it was
worked
great.
out.
Of course, it's the subtle things. It's the misdirection and the indirect, unexpected things that happen. That kind of that's what we learned about horror. It's not necessarily gore and guts and all of that and scary. It's really the unexpected.
Yeah.
So it was a great gag. I loved it.
So with
good. I'm so glad.
With future projects, because we know that obviously you acted in Killer Friends. Is that something that you kind of fancy yourself also doing in future projects? Not just in the creation or the writing or anything like that, but to also have a visible role in front of the camera?
Absolutely. I will always write myself in, maybe not as the lead, but I always want to be some sort of role in whatever I make. I like to think of like Eli Roth is really good about putting himself in, even if it's like, just a random kind of side character. I love being in front of the camera, and I will absolutely probably always, at least when I'm, this age. Maybe when I'm older, I'll stop doing it, but I'm kind of, I'm too egotistical, I guess, to not do it.
Well, you could always be like Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
I mean, look at some of his classic films. I mean, he was in every single one of his movies, but like towards the end, he was just like a person walking through a scene.
Right, an extra crossing the street or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could always turn into that. You never know.
Yeah, I love that.
So how is the film performing currently in terms of film festival circuits, and are there any festivals coming up that Killer Friends might be appearing in?
So yes, as you guys know, I just hired Patricia Chica, who is phenomenal, to do the PR for Killer Friends.
She is fabulous.
She did amazing things with Sean's film, Night of the Slasher, which I'm sure you guys saw.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, boy, did we see.
Yeah, Patricia is a really fabulous.
She's
Thank
amazing.
you for saying something. We were going to give her a shout out anyway. So.
But Patricia's amazing.
She's brilliant. So Killer Friends is about to screen at the Cleveland International Film Festival on April 1st. And I'm excited that my exec producer is going to fly me in for that. So I'm so pumped. And then it's just played at Omaha, I believe, or maybe it's the end of this month. It's playing in Omaha. And it got into the short film corner at Cannes.
Hey.
So that's exciting as well. And then I'm crossing my fingers. I've submitted it to Dances with Films and Outfest here in LA. Mm-hmm. And I would love for my West Coast premiere to go to one of them, maybe more so Outfest, just because it's a fantastic, LGBTQ festival. And I think it would do really well there. Yeah,
that would be great. So, and hopefully we can get you in Horrible Imaginings, because they only had 3 films in LGBT block. One was a feature film, was You're Killing Me, but then there were 2 shorts.
Oh yeah, the Jeffrey Self.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It was that was a good film too, and so hopefully they will expand the LGBT block. But they had a really full schedule last year. Oh my gosh, it went Friday evening and then all day Saturday and all day Sunday.
Yeah, Miguel said it was like one of the biggest festivals in terms of submissions ever. There was so many they had to turn away.
Submissions. So.
Oh wow.
So
well,
hopefully
I'll submit maybe when I get off the phone with you guys.
Yeah, that look, Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego, and then that you can, if there's a place to put in a recommendation, tell them Keith and Ben.
Two
Gay
Geeks.
Tell Two Gay Geeks.
Miguel will know.
Yeah, he knows who we are.
Yep.
When is the when is Horrible Imaginings?
It is.
You said you just went
is it the first weekend in September?
Yeah, first weekend in September.
Oh, okay. So coming up.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. So that.
Yeah.
So what are your plans? I know that you are in the process of moving, or have you moved already? Is it?
I haven't. I'm currently on my bed, surrounded in boxes.
Oh, hooray!
God. We know what that's like.
Oh Lord.
Yes, it's
moving.
horrifying. I always underestimate moving. I always underestimate it.
Yep. Like 3 moves ago, I swore I was going to burn everything I owned if I had to move again, but that didn't happen.
No.
Yeah. And you just acquire these things that
my God.
I guess they have sentimental value, but
before we moved into this house, we had more stuff than 12 people should have. I mean, it was just we took 5 carloads to Goodwill. 5.
Jeez.
And then it's like we did that here just a couple of years ago out of the front room. What the heck is this stuff? Where's it coming from?
Right.
You just keep buying and it just keeps accumulating. So, well, hopefully you can get moved soon and get settled down and start making some more films. I'm excited for the next film to see what.
Oh, great! That's awesome. It's Do you want to hear about it?
Sure, absolutely.
Don't give too many spoilers, but just a little kind of an idea as to what people might expect.
It's okay. It's working title right now is called Meat Market.
Oh dear,
and
that's a nice name.
It's a group of gay guys are being hunted down via an app like Grindr.
Oh wow.
Oh well. Okay. And the funny thing is that it's actually sort of taken out of real life.
Yeah, I mean, several people I'm sure have been attacked via GPS-based dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of the fun in it. It's like, someone could use this in ill will, like it's a real danger. So, kind of a PSA maybe.
And is this one going to be some comedy in that as well, or is it just going to be sheer
absolutely.
horror?
That's kind of like the gay scream I was talking about.
Okay.
It's 4 gay friends and they're and a girl, and they're just kind of sassing each other until they all get hunted down one by one.
Aha. Sounds fun. Are you going to do an Indiegogo campaign or something like that to raise funds for this film?
I will almost definitely have to do more crowdfunding to get it off the ground. It's 27 pages right now. I have to get it down to 15. But once I do that, I will probably most definitely have to crowdfund.
Okay, now you just said something I'm kind of curious about, and that's how it's 27 pages and you need to get it down to 15. Is there some sort of criteria in terms of how big a film has to be in order to qualify for as a short film?
You know what? To my knowledge, under 40 minutes is a short film by most festival standards. What I've been told, though, is that anything over 10 minutes, especially in the genre of comedy or horror, has a smaller chance of getting into festivals.
Interesting.
So I guess it's more marketable if a short film is truly short.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
But I'm fine. I would love to make it a 30-minute featurette, just like a small, because it has the feeling of a small feature at this point.
Right.
But I've just been advised, it needs to be shorter.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's because,
maybe,
as you said, it's more marketable, and if the film is shorter, it stands a better chance of being included in these film festivals that are constantly being bombarded with all these submissions.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they'll take 10 8-minute films over 8 10-minute films.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So definitely let us know whenever you decide to do the campaign. We will market the heck out of that for you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Something I might want to think about is do the short one, but then use that as, I don't want to say proof of concept, but say, we've got a longer version. Because there was a couple of films we saw at Horrible Imaginings where they were doing that. They submitted a really short version, said, yeah, but we've got something longer, not feature length necessarily, but something longer. But once they got their foot in the door, it allowed them to kind of use that as a marketing tool to their benefit.
Absolutely. I've had thoughts of making Killer Friends into a feature because I think there could be a story there.
Yeah, you get some of the backstory.
I was gonna say you really, really go for the backstory, and then you can kind of get a good realization as to what a horrible person that guy is.
Exactly how horrible I am. Yeah.
Oh, not you.
I know.
So, any plans for doing film other than your own films? Or do you have any prospects? Have you been doing any screen tests?
I audition a fair amount.
Yeah, still.
And aside from that, like being out here, I honestly offer my services, to any friends who are trying to make films or, TV, anything like that. I'm happiest when I'm on set, whether that be holding a boom or supervising script or acting in front of the camera. So I'm always hungry for working on a project. I think it's just about kind of getting my name out there and showing people that I'm, an asset.
Absolutely.
So I just kind of look to do that every day.
You're staying on the market, if you will. You never know what's going to happen.
Staying relevant.
Exactly. Because somebody might say, hey, even though that guy's just holding the boom over there, he wrote a great script and a short film. You should talk to him.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes those things just happen.
You're so right. Like your chances of getting noticed for whatever talent are so much more likely on set than at home or in a grocery store.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So regarding independent filmmaking, now this is something that we've just over the last year have really started to explore and see that there's this incredible wealth of it. And considering the way the movie industry presently is, I mean, it's kind of big, it's kind of bloated, it's a gigantic machine. Do you feel like really independent filmmaking that's going to be the wave of the future?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it absolutely, it already is almost like I think we're at the precipice of it. I also think content is getting shorter and shorter. Like I can see TV shows going down to 10 minutes long soon instead of 20.
Right.
And just, I think the YouTube generation, all these people have taken that media into their own hands. Like, I think independent film it's been hot for a while, I think. And I think it goes hand in hand with people putting all the pressure on themselves and creating their own content. So yeah, I think independent film is absolutely the future.
So I think you'd say that it's getting easier to get your stuff out there now.
Definitely. There's the app Filmic Pro is on iPhones and such, and that's what Tangerine was shot on. Did you see Tangerine by any chance?
No, we haven't.
No.
It was a Sundance Darling, an LGBT film. It's streaming on Netflix. It was in theaters for a brief amount of time, but it's fantastic. And they shot it in like 2 weeks on iPhones, so it's so doable. Like you can get your friends together, like you can make a film happen.
Yeah. Well, that's great. We've been really become incredible supporters of independent filmmaking just through a series of happenstances, if you will. And this kind of our content that we have, and this show grew out of another show where we were participating, and it became a grind to do because it wasn't ours. And then that kind of stopped happening, and we started our own thing, and we're much happier doing what we want to do and talking to the people that we want to talk to. And we found talking to people that are independent filmmakers certainly is a lot easier to come by, but it's a lot more gratifying.
I think it's also more interesting.
And more interesting because of the things that you face in getting your film made and getting it out there and getting it recognized. Mm-hmm. So it really, we are happy to support independent film. It's just incredible to have that.
That's so great.
So that we can
I mean, the passion on both sides is so much stronger. You're doing what you want, we're doing what we want, and both of us just want to get, have our voices heard.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's beautiful.
So, what?
I guess the next big question would be, if people want to learn more about you or anything that you're working on, do you have a presence on the intertubes, the various interwebsites?
The internets?
The internets. Do you have do you have a social media presence, basically, so that people can see what you're doing and anything that you're presently working on?
Yeah, everything. You can find me anywhere with just my full name, Zach Noe Towers, ZachNoeTowers. And that's Twitter, Instagram. My website is zachnoetowers.com. The way you just phrased that makes me feel very much behind in keeping people up to date on what's going on in my life. But if you follow me on those three main sources, you can kind of piece together what's going on in my career. Just follow me. I've got stuff cooking.
Cool. Well, this has been an absolutely wonderful time talking to you and talking about Killer Friends. Anything that you want to say before we wrap this up?
Besides, thank you to you guys, and I guess if there are any aspiring filmmakers out there, this is on. You didn't ask for advice, I guess, but I would just
by
say,
all means, give it.
If you're sitting on an idea, or if you're sitting on your script, or if you're just waiting for things to be perfect and a sign, it's not going to come. Just make your project and learn from it and move on to the next project.
Absolutely.
Wow, I think that's excellent advice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Zach, for being with us today, and we look forward to your next film, and we look forward to seeing what Killer Friends does and seeing the many awards that it's going to win. I know it will.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, They're two gay guys, and they're geeks. Is that okay?
And that is our birthday music. And here's a few selected birthdays for March 21st through March 27th, 2016. But we're going to start, and we're going to back up a little bit because we forgot some birthdays. We decided we would start adding birthdays of people that we know. So March 13th, we missed Pia Thrasher's birthday.
How could we do that?
Oh, my Lord. March 14th is Andrew Ian. And March 19th, Michael Menengay. You might say he's the crazy old uncle of this show.
And for people who don't remember who Andrew Ian is, we had a brief little chat with him and the rest of the crew when we were down in San Diego.
Yes, for
Beyond the Impact.
And yes, we did. And Michael Menengay, just the kind of crazy old uncle of the show, because he kind of helped...
he put us on this path.
He put us on this path with Slice of Sci-Fi. So thanks, Mike, and happy birthday to all those that we missed. So on to the regular birthdays. March 21st is Gary Oldman.
Oh, I love him.
Matthew Broderick, Timothy Dalton, James Coco. You're so slippy.
James Coco. Oh, we need to
Yes.
see Murder by Death again
Yes,
now.
we need to watch that again. Modest Mussorgsky, composer, born in 1839, most famous for pictures at an exhibition,
Yes.
among other things. Also, the great JSB, Johann Sebastian Bach, 1685.
What? You sound like that's... Hey, JSB, how you doing?
Yeah. That's how we always referred to him. Anyway, and one of our friends, Mr. Crazy Joe Fiore. Happy birthday, Crazy Joe. March 22nd, William Shatner, Marcel Marceau. And I put Marcel Marceau on here simply because I have a little story about that.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to hear it.
Big to-do in the 60s. And my sister and I, we were in a very tiny elevator in a department store in Muskogee, Oklahoma with my mother. And there happened to be this elderly lady who was in there with us, and she had lots of makeup on. And I don't remember who it was that said it, me or my sister, but you know how little kids whisper, and they said, "Mama, she looks exactly like Marcel Marceau."
Oh, dear.
Anyway, that's because she had so much makeup on.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
that's why I put that one in there. Also on March 22nd, Carl Malden and Werner Klemperer.
Oh, Colonel Klink.
Colonel Klink. I put that one in there because his father, Otto Klemperer, was a very well-known conductor of opera and orchestras.
And well, Werner
he
was
a very accomplished pianist.
quite the
yes.
musician himself.
Yes, and he actually, one of the episodes of Hogan's Heroes, he ended the episode by playing, I can't remember what it was, but playing the piano at the end of the episode. So he's a very accomplished pianist. Also, March 22nd, Emmett Walsh. March 23rd, Joan Crawford. Probably the biggest thing that she did in her career after she died was
not hers.
was not hers.
It was Faye Dunaway.
Yeah, but the big thing was people not using wire hangers anymore.
That's true.
Using plastic hangers. Also, March 23rd, Chaka Khan.
Is it that time of year again?
It's not.
Oh,
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
Chaka
Did I just say
Kanika.
that?
No, it's not Chaka Kanika yet. And one of our friends, Andrew Godot, on March 23rd.
We mentioned him because he's the brother-in-law to a fellow slicer from years past, Sam Roberts.
Yes, and husband of Lisa Godot. March 24th, Jim Parsons, Joseph Barbera.
I'm guessing of Hanna-Barbera, right?
Hanna-Barbera, yes. And Harry Houdini, 1874. And friend of the show, Travis Osland, also from BTI.
Do you know he's only 28?
Oh, my Lord.
I'm feeling like
just a child.
He is. He's a child. I'm feeling so incredibly old.
Yes. March 25th, Elton John and Lee Pace. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Also, March 25th, Patrick Troughton, James Lovell Jr. Jr. Yes, he was an astronaut.
Right.
And Bela Bartok, a composer born in 1881, and Arturo Toscanini, famous conductor, 1867.
It's a good day for classical music.
Yes. March 26th, Leonard Nimoy, may he rest in peace. Martin Short, Robert Frost the poet, and good friend of the show, Chuck Tomasi.
Of Technorama Podcast.
Technorama, yes. March 27th, Nathan Fillion, Quentin Tarantino, Tony Banks.
Of Genesis, the band.
Yes, Genesis, the band. And Michael York, as well as Gloria Swanson. Yes, born in 1897. And that's a reference to Soap Dish, where
I think it's Sally Field's
Sally
character.
Field's character is in this turban, and she says,
I look like Gloria
Swanson.
And the funny thing is I can, that has become such a phrase now that, I'm not saying it to be mean, but whenever I think of Gloria Swanson, I can't help but insert an F-bomb as Gloria's middle name.
Yes. But,
wow.
It's Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, Sunset Boulevard,
that's
right.
what made that turban famous. And that is the birthdays for this week. So tune in next week for more birthdays.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Once they were a podcast. Hello and welcome to Casual Mode, the podcast for geeks of all trades and masters of none. Then, they went dormant. But then, he returned. But he didn't return alone. Chibi, let's do this. Casual Mode, now the channel for geeks of all trades and masters of none. This is Pokemon Fan Theories. This is Fun 5e Builds, another casual vlog. Tabletop RPGs, Pokemon Talk, and a whole bunch of other random What can I say? I'm ever so slightly lazy. Search Casual Mode on YouTube, Casual Mode Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and Shadowbird712 on Twitter. Until next time, casual fanatics, keep it casual, y'all.
Go give a listen to Jeremy over at Casual Mode Podcast. And now, it's that time. And what time is that?
I don't know, but I don't feel like dancing. It's feedback time.
It's feedback time.
So I want to start off with actually not really feedback, but I want to bring this up because old-time friend of Slice of Sci-Fi and still a friend of ours, and he listens to our show, that's Dillo in Berlin. He wrote this really great story that I once you hear it, you'll understand why we had to share it. He says, I was working on a new riff when a boy about 6 or 7 and his mom came by. They stopped, and after a bit, the boy got that want-to-ask-a-question look on his face, so I stopped playing. He asked what the didge was. So I'm guessing he was playing didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo, yeah.
Yeah. So he asked what the didge was, and I answered him. He then turned and signed to his mom. She nodded, and he asked another question of me. Again, he signed the answer to his mom, and this time she signed back to him. He then said that she wanted to know what it sounded like. I asked him what he thought my music sounds like. He thought about it a bit, and then said, the music a dragon would dance to. I told him that was the best description I have ever heard for my didge playing. He signed to his mom, and then I pointed to the boy and gave her a thumbs up. She smiled, gave the lad a coin for my bowl, and then they left. It was hard to keep playing after that, what with the smiling and crying at the same time.
That's wonderful.
That story really makes me feel good.
Yep.
On so many levels, and that to me, that's just the most awesome description. How a dragon would dance to a didgeridoo.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Now we've got some voicemail.
Yeah. This one is from Crazy Joe.
And this is regarding actually episode 62, feedback from Crazy Joe. And actually it's more like episode 63 because we read it from that. Anyway, he had some comments about the Ghostbusters trailer. He originally said that he didn't like it. And so we kind of wanted him to maybe give some more detailed explanation as to why he didn't like it. He said it didn't fit the continuity, and we couldn't tell. So we put the question out, Joe, how does it not fit into the continuity? And he left a reply.
So strap in. Here we go with Crazy Joe.
Hi, this is Crazy Joe. On one of the last shows, you guys asked for some elaboration on what was going on with Ghostbusters and what I meant when I said it's not in continuity or it's breaking continuity of the first 2 films. So I'm calling to clarify that and explain what's going on. I like to keep these calls quick. Unfortunately, I don't think I can on this topic because there's a lot to talk about. First of all, let's just start with the fact that Dan Aykroyd has been trying to make Ghostbusters 3, a sequel to Ghostbusters 1 and 2, since the 1990s.
Okay.
Every time he tried to get it going, he was thwarted by Bill Murray, who would not commit to the movie.
I heard about that.
The thing is, Bill Murray wouldn't say no. He just wouldn't commit. At one point, Bill Murray said he would only do the movie if Peter Venkman died and he was a ghost in the movie. Dan Aykroyd actually put that into a script, and then Bill Murray kind of backed off because he still didn't want to do it. I guess he thought he was bluffing, and they called his bluff. But anyway, Bill Murray was the reason this never happened. Anyway, within the last couple of years, Dan Aykroyd had finally announced that they were moving ahead without Bill Murray because he wouldn't commit. So Ghostbusters 3 was finally going to happen, according to Dan Aykroyd. He announced it to the press. He said, we're working on the script. It's going to happen.
I heard about that.
Shortly after, Paul Feig, I don't know how you say his name, he starts talking about his idea for a Ghostbusters reboot with all women.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the press jumped on this all-women thing, and I guess some people may have acted negative towards that at the beginning. Now, to most hardcore fans, it wasn't the all-women thing that turned them off. It was the total reboot thing, because we all had been waiting for Ghostbusters 3 all these years, and Dan Aykroyd had just announced it was finally going to happen. And the plot of Ghostbusters 3, according to Dan Aykroyd, was that the old Ghostbusters would be training a new generation of Ghostbusters. It would have been a changing of the guard, a mentoring the new guys, and passing the torch. That's the kind of movie it was going to be. So now, naturally, this fits with what Paul Feig wanted to do. If he wanted to do all women, that could have worked. All it would have to be was that's who Dan Aykroyd is passing the torch to these four women. But Paul Feig decided he did not want to do that. He wanted to make it a total and complete reboot in which Ghostbusters 1 and 2 never happened.
Oh.
The reason, he said, was because he wanted them to be experiencing ghosts and the supernatural for the first time ever.
They still
and
could.
If it had all happened before, he would lose that moment where they learn that ghosts are real and people see ghosts for the first time.
Rubbish.
So that's the reason he took continuity away for 1 and 2 and made this a total reboot. Now, the problem is, the rug was pulled out from under Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd thought his sequel was going ahead. Sony heard Paul Feig's pitch and said, basically, well, screw what Dan Aykroyd wants to do. We're doing this because Paul Feig is hot now because of Bridesmaids and everything.
Oh.
And you'll notice when this got announced, Aykroyd was totally silent. He didn't tweet. He didn't talk to the press.
That's true.
For
Didn't
a
hear
week
anything.
or two. And the reason is obvious. Aykroyd was hurt. He was told his movie was going ahead, and they pulled the rug out from under him. They basically took the thing he created and took it away from him and said, we're giving it to this guy. Now, when Ernie Hudson came out to the press about this, he came out against it. He was not happy because he thought they were doing Ghostbusters 3 as well. He basically lost a job over this. So he came out with a negative reaction saying he did not think this was a good idea. What happened? People started attacking Ernie Hudson on Twitter, saying he was a misogynist and all these things because he was against the all-female Ghostbusters.
Oh, BS.
Well, Ernie Hudson, because of the cyberbullying, was forced to come out then in favor of the movie and say, oh, it's going to be great, it's going to be great, because he basically got cyberbullied into doing it. Aykroyd then came out in favor of it because I think he saw what happened to Ernie Hudson, despite the fact that this is his toy box and it was taken away from him. So all these guys are now saying they're in favor of the movie. But that's because Paul Feig has turned this into a misogyny thing. If anyone speaks out against this movie, if anyone says they're against it, it's suddenly misogyny.
You're
now.
anti-woman.
You don't like the women, Ghostbusters, you just, hate women. That's what it turned into with the press, and that's why a lot of websites have not been saying anything negative about this movie, because they've been afraid to. If you say anything negative, you get branded a misogynist, despite the fact that the objection to this movie from the hardcore fans is not due to women, but due to the fact that we've been denied the sequel we were promised for so long.
Okay, I can agree with that.
So now the movie's happening, and what has happened since? Let's take a look. The Force Awakens came out this year, and so did Jurassic World. Both of them were sequels to these classic films. in continuity with the original films.
Right.
In the case of Star Wars, bringing back cast members like Han Solo and Princess Leia to pass the torch to a new generation, which is what Dan Aykroyd wanted to do. Well, now Sony is seeing that they made a mistake. This is what the fans wanted. They wanted this kind of a movie. So they're trying now to twist the marketing into looking like that's what this is. And that's why it says 30 years ago in the trailer, 30 years ago, 4 scientists saved the world. And the first shot in the trailer is of the Ghostbusters firehouse headquarters from the first 2 movies. They're showing you this because they want to create an impression that you're seeing a sequel like The Force Awakens or Jurassic World when you're not. And it's working because I'm seeing people online who are commenting that they think that's what this is. It isn't.
Okay, this is bad.
Advertising is deceptive. The movie is not what the fans wanted. The fans wanted a true sequel. And basically, Paul Feig has been using misogyny and, people hating women as a crutch to keep criticism away from him. Because anytime anyone criticizes the film, that's his go-to crutch. And it works. He's actually turned the media so that any time there's an article about this movie, they say, oh, a lot of people were against women Ghostbusters. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there was someone somewhere who didn't like the idea of women Ghostbusters, because there's one in every crowd. But that's not what the bulk of the fans were saying. That's not what the bulk of the fans were criticizing. I don't want this movie to succeed, whether it's good or bad. And the trailer looked horrible. But whether it's good or bad, I don't want it to succeed, because it's a creepy move on Sony's part to take the toy box away from the creator, and this deceptive marketing just makes it even worse. This movie robs us of the sequel we could have had. Because if this movie flops, they're going to say, well, people aren't interested in Ghostbusters, and we'll never get that sequel now. And if this movie's a hit, again, we'll never get that sequel because they're going to make more movies with these guys in the reboot universe. So either way, they've screwed us from getting the movie we always wanted, because it'll never happen now. So I'm really angry about this movie. I like the cast. I like Kristen Wiig. I don't know Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones. I don't watch Saturday Night Live, so I'm not familiar with that. But I really like Kristen Wiig a lot. And Melissa McCarthy, I think, is pretty good, too. So it's not about the cast. They would have been fine. I just wish it was in continuity and that Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson were there as their mentors training them. And if we had gotten that, I would be fine with this movie. Talk to you later. Sorry I rambled on so long.
No,
Bye.
don't apologize.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay. Wow. I think we've almost touched on to another scandal.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say that, Joe, based on your analysis, I would agree with everything you said. There's some very dirty pool going on here if Brian Feig, however, I don't know how you pronounce it, if he is indeed throwing out the misogyny card. And shame on Sony for playing this little duplicitous game against Dan Aykroyd. I can see why he would be hurt. I'm really personally offended with the idea of Ernie Hudson and being cyberbullied into saying, "Oh no, I think this is a really good movie." The only thing we can do now is just wait for the film to come out.
Yeah,
and see what fans say. With any luck, being being social media, being what that is right now, and people really being able to express their opinions. I mean, yeah, you're going to get people who are going to just say, "Well, I just thought the movie sucked," and then they're not going to really elaborate any further on it. I am hopeful that there will be people, and I don't know, maybe you'll get a review from us where we will do that too, where we will actually criticize the movie for the faults that are really there, and that is it's a movie that's trying to be two things at the same time and failing at both of them. Yeah. Failing to be a reboot and failing to be a sequel, because you can't have it both ways. Either completely reboot the universe and start scratch, or do a proper sequel, as you said, Joe, and then do a passing of the torch. For Sony to try and play it both ways, especially in their marketing, is very, very shady. I don't like it. So, yeah, hopefully people will call Sony on the carpet for their deception.
Not that it's going to do any good.
No, it won't do any
Because,
good.
As we've all said many times, most people at the studios don't really have a clue sometimes.
No, they don't, because in many cases they are just completely, they're isolated from the fans. Yep. I mean, these are projects that are being, they're given the green light. I mean, granted, maybe some of your writers and some of your directors are fans of certain subjects, but many times they're not. As we've seen even in recent history, sometimes a big franchise, Star Trek, will get rebooted and be helmed by somebody who's not a fan, J.J. Abrams. And next thing you know, you've got something that actually alienates more than attracts.
Yep.
Bummer. Okay. Well, moving right along to our last episode, episode 63, where we had a little chat about Lily Wachowski. We got some feedback from Brian Weber, and he writes, "The thing about Lily Wachowski that I probably shouldn't be so amused by, but can't help, it is that her recent coming out only piles on to the utter hilarity of the mere existence of the Red Pill movement." I'm cutting it there because Brian gives a very, very lengthy description about the Red Pill movement. So if any of you within the sound of my voice wish to learn more about the Red Pill movement, just check out Brian's full comment for episode 63 on our YouTube page, and that link will be in our show notes for this episode.
Yeah, basically the Red Pill movement is an anti-everything.
Yeah.
So.
Also, from last week's episode, we had a little discussion about Shore Agdashlu joining Star Trek Beyond for the reshoots, and we got comment from good friend Scott Linder. And he writes, "Well, guys, another great episode." Just a little bit of a joke. I've noticed that Scott's replies always start with, "Well, guys, another great episode." I'm beginning to think that's in his template.
Yeah.
I'm just joking, Scott.
Well, I think he listens to him on Monday morning when he's getting ready.
He does, because
his
this was the first
yeah.
comment. I mean, that came in like mere hours after the episode posted.
Yeah, he goes to work really early, so
he probably listens to it then, yeah.
Yep.
Well, anyway, he says, "I agree about the whole Star Trek Beyond and quote-unquote Federation High Command. It doesn't fit. Ben, you nailed exactly how I felt about that." And then he writes in parentheses, "And I love Star Trek the Motion Picture. Oh, and Ben, you're not a curmudgeon. You're just passionate about things." Well, thank you. I've always wanted to be called passionate. You're right. Although I still think I'm a curmudgeon. But yeah, I'm very passionate about Star Trek. And it's not just me. I mean, Star Trek fans are very passionate about the Star Trek franchise for a reason. It's not just because it's all flash, it's all boom, it's all visual special effects. I mean, there's some really great integrity to the stories that have crafted that universe. And now to come in and to just tear it apart by throwing in, and people are going to think, "Oh, it's just trivia, it's just little details." No, it's not that. I mean, when Star Trek was created, that universe became like a sandbox with a very very specific set of toys. And I've always been of this opinion. If you're going to play in somebody else's sandbox, don't start bringing in a bunch of tools to dump the sand out. Don't do that. Be nice, be friendly, and play with that other person's toys, and do so with great courtesy. So that's my thought on that. We also got a comment from Tom Alred Gulbranson about the Star Trek Beyond. And he writes, "Shore Agdashlu is fantastic, just like the rest of the Star Trek actors. Watch The Expanse." Well, we've been talking about doing that. "Spot on about the JJ and Paramount Star Trek. The only true worthwhile part to watch it is the stellar cast." Agreed completely. The only thing that I have really enjoyed about the first two Star Trek movies is that cast. I've not been a huge fan of the plots for either of them. I think that they completely they do a really bad disservice to everything that had been created Star Trek wise since its first inception. But the cast is amazing. It's the only thing that keeps bringing me back to this film. I dare say it'll bring me back to see Star Trek Beyond, but I've got, I can't help it. I've got a really bad feeling. Sorry for saying that, but that's how I feel. And then we did an article last week about how Harrison Ford and Steven Spielberg are going to return for Indiana Jones 5, and we will talk about that a little later in the show. But we did get some comments. Actually got a comment from a very dear friend of mine, Darren Anderson, who lives over in the UK, and he simply writes, Ford is a bit old for the part now. They have to set it in the 1970s to fit his age, or bring his son back, and have it set during the Watergate scandal.
There you go.
Now, I kind of like that idea. I could just see the elderly Harrison Ford or elderly Indiana Jones doing some archaeological dig, trying to, or trying to come up to, trying to uncover whatever nastiness was going on during Watergate. I think that could be funny.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
And then we also last week did a story about a new trailer for The Legend of Tarzan. Now, I will just quickly describe that this is a completely different kind of Tarzan. Nowadays, according to the article, he's John Clayton III, Lord Greystoke, and he was living out a genteel life with his wife Margot in 1880s. But when a greedy plot by Captain Leon Rom brings him back to the Congo, he needs to get in touch with his wild side in order to save the day. And the movie is going to be starring Alexander Skarsgård. He's the son of Stellan Skarsgård, who people might remember from the Marvel movies. And we got a trailer for that on our website, so I'll have the link for that as well. And the movie looks kind of good, I will admit. It's very heavy CGI as opposed to the Christopher Lambert movie that came out like 20-some-odd years ago. Anyway, Tom Alvin Gilbertson left a comment saying, "Ooh, I'm going to watch this. I love previous Tarzan movies. I also loved John Carter, although it bombed in the cinema. It more than made back the amount spent on filming it. So I don't get the decision on not making a sequel. Anyway, looking forward to Tarzan." And let me, before I finish off his comment, I would say we loved John Carter.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
That was a great movie. And we're not going to go into the whole detail as to why it bombed, but it should have done a lot better. It deserved to do a lot better. Yeah. And I will be interested to see this because if you really think about it, in some ways, Edgar Rice Burroughs is like the first fantasy/sci-fi writer. Well, not the first, but he was a very heavy adventure fantasy sci-fi writer of his day, and he wrote some really great stuff. Tom also threw out a question. He asked, "Are there any good The Phantom movies, by the way? Just wondering." No, there aren't any. Sorry, wish there were. There was talk about doing it again after the last Phantom movie completely bombed in the box office.
I liked it, but
The Phantom?
Yeah. Oh no, not
you're,
the Phantom. I'm thinking of The Shadow.
Of The Shadow.
Yeah, I'm thinking of The Shadow. Sorry.
The Shadow. Now that movie. With Alec
Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, thank you. Yeah, that movie with Alec Baldwin is fantastic. I mean, I love to make fun of it, but the truth is, I love that movie. But The Phantom, no. It was done once. It just sank really quickly. So there was talk about doing a reboot, and then it just kind of went away. So sorry, I'm not aware of any. But hey, listeners, if any of you are aware of a good Phantom movie that is out there, let us know. And then lastly, we did a story, and we will talk about this one a little bit later in our show, about how Simon Pegg is in talks to join Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some comments there. First comment came from a dear friend of mine from grade school, Corey Nelson. She simply writes, "Loved the book. Love Simon." And then of course, I knew we were going to get something from our dear friend of the show, Claire O'Leary, and she writes, "He'd make a great Og. Maybe younger than I imagined, but yay." And as I said, we will talk about that a little bit later in the show.
And we got a comment on episode 58, which was our interview with Kevin McKeever from Robotech, or from Harmony Gold. And we published that comment, although I had to edit that comment. The comment was not necessarily very positive, but it wasn't horribly negative until the very end. And I had to edit out a piece of the comment and then just had to say, please be nice in the future. And that kind of is a great segue into a comment about our comments, that we really would like for you to play nice in your comments, whether you leave them on our Facebook page or if you leave them on our episodes on the website or wherever. Please play nice. And, you know, sometimes we do edit the comments for so that they do play nice. And I will say that it would be nice if you do comment on our website, if you use a real email address. That way, if we want to edit your comment or ask you another question about that comment, we could email you. We don't want to spam you by any means, but, you know, sometimes we might have a follow-up question about your comment, and it's kind of lame to leave a bogus email address.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because the big reason why I questioned us actually reading the comment, the edited one, is that it made no sense.
Yeah,
Not really. I mean, it was like stream of consciousness.
It's more.
It was rambling, and even though the part that we did publish, I mean, as you said, it wasn't positive. It wasn't necessarily negative in a mean sort of way, but it was just this mindless rambling. I'm sorry to say that, but it was. And I just didn't know how to approach that and insert it into our show.
Yeah, but we do want to hear your comments. You know, good or bad. We can take, you know, criticism, but please be civil about it.
Absolutely.
We reserve the right to edit or delete comments that don't adhere to our terms of use and privacy policies. And once again, I apologize for having to say that again, but it just cropped up this week one more time. So leave us comments. Facebook, on our articles on the website, on our YouTube episodes.
You can even leave a comment on Twitter.
Leave a comment on Twitter, or you can call our listener feedback line like Joe did, and we'll play your comment on air. 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And here's the birthday girl.
Hi, this is Pia Thrasher, filmmaker, actress, and artist, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And as promised, we had a couple of things that did come up in the feedback that we were going to talk about here. And the first one is that Simon Pegg, Scotty from the Star Trek movies that have just been released,
as well as other things,
as well as a bunch of other things, he is in talks, and it looks like he will be joining the cast of Ready Player One.
Yes.
Now, the film adaptation of the book is not due out until 2018. But the fact that the casting machine is in such high gear right now really kind of suggests that this is not just some idle talk that's kind of flittering around in the gossip pages of Hollywood. Yeah. This movie is really being worked on. It's in pre-production right now. Production starts in June.
Yeah, but the thing is, as we've discussed before, not on the show but outside of the show, that this movie is probably going to be extremely heavy CGI just because of the nature of the film, or the nature of the setting of the book.
The universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not just the real world that the Earth is, that our hero Wade Watts lives in, but the world of Oasis is going to be just rich with visual imagery.
Yeah.
So
now,
anyway.
The interesting thing about this whole article and why we're talking about it is...
Wow, everybody got the name wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, not Simon Pegg's wrong, but who he is playing.
Every single outlet, except for one, has said that Simon Pegg is going to be playing Organ Morrow.
Yep.
Who the heck is Organ Morrow?
He's playing...
Has anybody read the book?
I know. He is playing Ogden Morrow.
Unless they're changing it for the film.
Which I don't think they are, because that doesn't
stupid.
make any sense.
Exactly.
Why would you want to change the name?
And especially since Ernest Cline's writing the play.
He's doing the screenplay.
The screenplay, yeah.
So unless some studio exec says, I really don't like the name Ogden. I had a girlfriend who was from Ogden, Utah. I really hated her. Let's change the name to Oregon.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Who knows?
It could be something that ridiculous, but I highly doubt it. To be perfectly honest, what I think happened is somebody was writing an entry. I don't know. I mean, even IMDb got it wrong. Yeah. So somebody somewhere was writing an entry saying that Simon Pegg was playing the part, and what happened is they, when you're typing
spell
something,
check.
when you're typing something, Ogden is not going to hit your spell check because it's a real name.
Yeah.
I mean, why should it? But I have a funny feeling that somebody actually kind of switched out the G and the D. So instead of writing Ogden, they wrote Ogden, or whichever. I mean, they flipped it, and the spell check caught it and turned it to Oregon.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm guessing that's what it is. Who knows? In any case, aside from us, I believe only Slash Film was the one who got it right. Everybody else got it wrong.
Yeah, just bizarre.
Be that as it may, I'm kind of happy that we kind of got it right.
Yeah.
So,
because we read the books too.
Yeah, we read the books, so of course we know. Anyway, back to the story here. Yes, Simon is currently in negotiations to join the cast of this huge science fiction sprawling epic. The movie is going to be a co-production between Warner Brothers and Village Roadshow. And as we said earlier, it's an adaptation of the best-selling novel by Ernest Cline. And for anybody who has not read my review, shame on you. I thought it was a good review.
You should read the review.
Read the review.
Read the book.
Read the book.
It's incredible.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Ernest Cline, if you're listening, we want to talk to you.
We want to talk to you, Ernest. Seriously.
Yeah.
Really, in a big way, man. Yeah, I think you're awesome.
Anybody that knows him, tell him we want to talk to him.
Yeah, we really, really want to talk to him. So anyway, as we said, Simon is going to be playing the co-creator of the Oasis virtual reality, Ogden Morrow. And one of the big comments is that he is a bit young, because Ogden is at best
70s.
Yeah, but at least middle age, if not older. And but as we've discovered, for anybody who knows the book, when you're in Oasis and you create these avatars of yourself, you can make them look any way you want.
Yep.
So I could see Simon Pegg looking just like Simon Pegg when he's inside Oasis. And in Oasis, he's referred to, of course, as the great, powerful Og. So I could see Simon as great, powerful Og. I think that'd be great. And then, kind of age him up a little bit and make him look more age appropriate for the character when you see him in the real world. I think it's kind of awesome. I'm actually kind of jazzed about this.
Yeah.
So
it'd be fun.
We've already got Tyler Sheridan, who will be playing Wade Watts / Parzival. Olivia Cook as Samantha Cook. That's right. Same last name.
I didn't.
That's right. I remember reading about that. What a coincidence that is, that the actress would have the same last name as the character.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Olivia Cook as Samantha Cook / Artemis or Artemis.
Artemis, yes.
And Ben Mendelsohn will be playing the very bad villain Nolan Sorrento. And as we said, Simon Pegg will be playing Ogden Morrow. Now,
can't wait to see who they're going to pick for H. They're going to keep that under wraps for a while.
Yeah.
Because, in fact, that probably will not be released until the movie is released.
I have an idea who I would like to see play the real H.
Yeah.
The real life. I've got an idea. I'll just simply say it's somebody from Glee. I would love to see that person in the part.
There's going to be 2 H's, though.
And then, of course,
if you've read the book.
Yeah, if you know the book. And then I'm kind of curious as to who's going to play Holiday. Well, Holiday, yeah.
Yeah.
In any case, I'd be very curious to see who's going to play him, because even though his character is dead, he does have a very significant part in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. I mean, I am more excited about this now.
Well, we won't even be voiceover.
No, we'll
see
him.
See him, yeah.
We see him, absolutely.
Many times.
Yes.
So there's going to have to be several incarnations of Halliday, because you have to have the young Halliday, and then the older, and the dead, and the character in Oasis, and So it could be interesting.
The one thing that has me a little concerned, and I saw this is not an article, but I actually saw this on another website, how Spielberg said that he kind of wants to tone down, and I don't know if he was being serious or if he was just, tongue-in-cheek, but he was wanting to tone down what other people have referred to as pop culture porn. And I'm like, well, maybe tone it down a little bit because you do need to streamline the film.
Yeah, but
because it's got to fit within a 2.5-hour time limit. But you can't really reduce it too much because that's half the magic of
it's the point of the whole Oasis, really, or the game.
It's the heart of the game. Yes, you've got the adventure that Wade/Parzival is on, but that adventure that he's on takes him through this 80s pop culture porn. So you have to have it there. I mean, Spielberg has said that he's actually thinking about eliminating his own. And I'm like, well,
you can't do that.
No, Spielberg, don't do it.
No.
You really need to keep it in there. But as I was thinking back to the book, I mean, his stuff is not that
No, there's
prevalent.
just the one big reference to it.
Right.
But,
no, you need to keep it.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to keep it there. So Spielberg, leave it in there. It's great for a joke. So anyway. Then moving right along, we had another article that we ran that Darren gave some comments on. That's how Harrison Ford and Spielberg are returning to do Indiana Jones 5. And why? Well, when Disney acquired Lucasfilm, I mean, it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to really just take Star Wars and just run with it, which I think is a grand idea. But that also gave them Indiana Jones.
Yes.
And, Disney in 2 theme parks has got a sort of an Indiana Jones kind of ride, especially the big one in Anaheim, Temple of the Hidden Eye. They got another one. I'm not sure which foreign park that one is in, their other one. It's more of a roller coaster. I can't remember now. In any case, there was a press release, and it simply reads, well, Spielberg and Ford reunite. Indiana Jones will return to the big screen July 19th for a 5th epic adventure in the blockbuster series. Steven Spielberg, who directed all 4 previous films, will helm the as-yet untitled project starring Harrison Ford, reprising his iconic role. Franchise veterans Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall will produce. You can read the rest of that press release on our website.
I saw somebody comment on Facebook, please don't let it be Crystal Skull. Please don't let it be Crystal Skull. Please don't let it be Crystal Skull.
Oh, God, no. I mean, what a horrible... I mean, that was just a travesty. Yeah. That was a terrible film. But the question that I have is, just because you own a franchise, does that mean you should go ahead and just keep milking it?
Well, who knows?
I mean, Star Wars, you can do it because there's a great wealth to be told. I mean, Star Wars is the universe, Star Wars. Indiana Jones is Indiana Jones. It's a person. Harrison's getting a little long in the tooth. And I'm not saying that to be mean. It's just a fact. He's getting old.
Name the dog Indiana.
Yeah, name the dog Indiana. So I'm not sure this is a good idea or not.
Yeah, we'll see.
The only thing I can think of is that, to take what Crazy Joe mentioned during his feedback, and that is, we know that Indiana Jones' real name was Henry Jones Jr., so maybe he trained somebody else and from Princess Bride.
Yeah.
That the Pirate Roberts.
Yep.
Dreaded Pirate Roberts. He'll pass on the hat, pass on the name, and says, "You're now Indiana Jones."
Who knows?
Who knows? And then I want to quickly talk about the series Supergirl. Eddie McClintock, who is quite the veteran of science fiction television, is actually going to be appearing in Supergirl. He's going to be playing the Guardian, and he has a close connection to something known as the Cadmus Project. That's been brought up in Arrow, for anybody who is a little curious. The episode that McClintock is reported to be in is titled Manhunter, and as with past Supergirl episodes, there will be a myriad of lesser characters filling out the story. So, but with McClintock, someone of his acting stature, not to mention the fact that he's taking on the role of the Guardian, some of us are kind of hoping that this might be a recurring role for him. Don't have a date yet on that. It might be listed on IMDb.
Yeah.
I didn't bother to look. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah.
It should be interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. I like Eddie McClintock. I don't know how I feel about him as Guardian. He seems a little too comedic for the part. Guardian's a rather serious part. I don't know. I kind of figured the actor who plays Diggle would be better at it.
Yeah.
Okay, now
for our follow-up items. We have learned that Pia Thrasher has taken her campaign and extended her campaign for Things We Dig, so you can still support independent film. Check out Pia Thrasher's Indiegogo campaign. We'll have the link on our website for Things You Dig. You can be a part of independent filmmaking. Also, Phoenix Comic-Con continues to announce guests and activities. We get regular press releases from them, and we try to post everything that we get from Phoenix Comic-Con on our website. Got a couple of things this last weekend before this episode was released, so check out phoenixcomiccon.com for all of the updates.
And I want to give a special mention to the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. They are on Twitter, Doctor Who Talking Who. They put out a Fancast Guide every day, and if you want to read that guide, just go find them on Twitter, @TalkingWho. And also want to give a special nod to Brian Weber. He puts out something called the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News, Social Justice Scald, and you can find him on Twitter, @Arkle. And he also has a presence on Tumblr, where he has a page called Incorrect Star Trek Voyager Quotes.
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work. And, you know, I think he's actually looking for submissions. So you might want to reach out for him on Tumblr. And if you've got some things that you've noticed that he doesn't have, hit him up on there.
Yeah, and we want to give a shout out to The Lookie Show, the twins, Dagmar and Sasha. They are wonderful. We heard from them this week on Twitter. They are @Lookie Show, and catch them on YouTube as Lookie Show. If you like old movies and campy reviews, that's the show for you.
And we want to give a special shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, because they allow us to post our episodes on their page.
Yay.
The URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And as always, I must bow to head Poobah Grand Gay Geek Jeremiah Reeves for allowing us to do so.
Yes, thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we want to alert you to the Amazon ads on our site. We've put those ads on there to generate a little money for the show to help defray some of the costs instead of asking for money. So if you could just at least click through on one of the ads, it doesn't cost you anything. And if you choose to buy something, click through one of the ads and buy it through that. We get a little bit of a commission and a kickback on that. So thank you for understanding about that. Well, up next week, I don't know.
No idea.
We'll have to see what we have next week. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article of this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page, and remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.